The deep ocean has a way of holding its breath. It doesn't give up its secrets easily, and perhaps that's why we're so drawn to it. Down there, in the cold and the dark, the rules we know begin to unravel, and familiar shapes become something else entirely. Tonight, we're going to drift through that silent world, descending layer by layer, meeting the ancient fish that glide through it. If you've been searching for a story to ease your mind into rest, you've found the right place. Take a moment to settle in, and if you feel like this is a space you'd want to return to, a gentle tap on the subscribe button ensures you can find your way back. Let the last of the daylight fade from your thoughts. Our descent is about to begin. The surface of the ocean is a grand, shimmering distraction. We look at it from a beach or a boat, and we see a mirror for the sky, a flat, sparkling sheet that hides everything beneath. But just below that ceiling of light, a different physics takes hold. The first 10 feet of water absorb nearly all the red and orange wavelengths from the sun, so a diver looking at a cut on their hand will see the blood not as crimson, but as a deep, unsettling green. This is the first quiet trick of the deep, a subtle shift in perception that hints at the strangeness waiting further down. The light becomes a wash of blue and green, a cool, cathedral-like filter that turns the drifting plankton into a constellation of tiny stars. In this sunlit zone, the epipelagic, life is bright and quick. Tuna flash like silver torpedoes, dolphins spin in the filtered light, and the ocean feels generous, full of breath and motion. This is where we meet our first shark, the one we think we know, the great white perhaps, patrolling the cool, nutrient-rich waters off a rocky coastline. It's a master of this luminous world, with a body temperature warmer than the surrounding sea, a heat-exchanging network of blood vessels that powers its explosive ambush from below. It sees the silhouette of a seal against the bright ceiling and it rises, a perfect calculated force. But this shark, as formidable as it is still a creature of our world, a fish of sunlight and surface fury. It is not yet a ghost. To understand how sharks begin to slip into something more spectral, we have to follow the light as it fails. Let yourself sink, in your imagination, just past 200 feet. The surface becomes a memory, a rippling sheet of mercury far above. This is the twilight zone, the mesopelagic, a realm of permanent dusk. Here, the water pressure has tripled, squeezing the air spaces in a human diver's body, making the very act of breathing a dense, syrupy labor. The temperature plummets to a steady chilly 4 degrees Celsius, a cold that seeps into metal and bone. It's a world defined not by the sun, but by a different, more ancient light, bioluminescence. Over 90% of the animals in this layer produce their own living light. They flash, they glow, they pulse with a cold chemical fire. It's a society built on silent, luminous signals. A tiny lanternfish winks a distress call. A jellyfish spins, a wheel of sapphire sparks. And into this silent disco of living lights glides a shark that has begun its transformation. Meet the blunt-nosed six-gill shark. It's often called a living fossil, a phrase we use too easily, but here it fits. This is a shark whose body plan was old when the dinosaurs were still learning to stand. Its ancestors swam in Devonian seas over 350 million years ago. To look at a six-gill is to look back through a window of deep time. It doesn't have the sleek 5-gill slits of a modern reef shark. It has 6, a primitive, primordial feature, and its body is heavy, with a single long dorsal fin set far back near its tail. It's a patient, lumbering design. During the day, the six-gill is a true creature of the deep, staying in the inky darkness of the abyss, up to 8,000 feet down. But when the mask of night falls over the upper ocean, a great, silent migration begins. Trillions of plankton, squid, and small fish rise from the twilight zone toward the surface to feed under the cover of darkness. It's the largest animal migration on Earth, happening every single night. And the sixth gill rises with it. It follows its prey vertically, a massive, dark shape ascending through the thermocline, a slow-moving elevator of muscle and ancient instinct. It can reach lengths of over 16 feet, a true giant, but its movements are languid, almost somnambulant. It doesn't chase. It drifts and ambushes, using its broad, blunt snout and those extra gill slits to filter and sense its environment with a quiet, unflashy competence. The sixth gill is a gatekeeper, a shadow that moves between the world of light and the world of permanent night, showing us that the creepiness of sharks isn't a sudden switch, but a slow, deepening gradient. As we drift deeper, past 1,000 feet, the twilight fades to a near total blackness. This is the Barphipelagic, the midnight zone. Sunlight is not just dim, it is extinct. The only photons here are stolen from bioluminescent bodies. The pressure is immense, over 1,000 pounds per square inch, enough to crush a modern submarine hull if it isn't perfectly engineered. The water is near freezing. In this environment, a shark must be more than a hunter. It must be a perfectly adapted phantom. Its body becomes soft. The flesh of a deep-sea shark is often watery, almost gelatinous, with a skeleton made of lighter, more flexible cartilage than its surface-dwelling cousins. Its liver can be enormous, sometimes making up a quarter of its total body weight, swollen with low-density oils called squalene. This is a sophisticated buoyancy control, a way to achieve neutral buoyancy in a world without a flaw. The shark doesn't fight gravity. It communes with it, hovering, perfectly still, expending almost no energy. It is in this zone that the creepiness truly begins to bloom, not out of aggression, but out of a profound, alien economy of energy. Everything is slow. A deep-sea shark's metabolism is a pilot light, burning so low it's almost undetectable. A Greenland shark, for example, living in the near-freezing waters of the Arctic and deep fjords, moves at an average speed of less than 1 mile per hour. Its maximum burst speed is barely a human's walking pace, yet it can grow to be 24 feet long, a giant moving in geological time. This isn't a flaw, it's a profound adaptation. When you live in a food desert, you cannot afford to burn fuel like a great white. You become a patient, drifting repository of energy, your very existence a slow-motion waltz with scarcity. The eyes of these midnight zone sharks are instruments of extreme sensitivity. The Greenland shark's eye is a particularly strange, unsettling story. This creature, which can live for at least 400 years, maybe 500, swimming slowly through a life that spans centuries, often has its eyesight stolen by a parasite. A specialized copepod, a small crustacean, latches onto the cornea of the shark, feeding on the tissue and leaving a scarred, clouded, non-functional eye. The shark becomes almost completely blind. And yet, it doesn't starve. It doesn't fail. It navigates the inky blackness of Arctic fjords, where light is already a myth, and it hunts. It finds seals sleeping on ice floes, ambushing them from below in utter darkness. How? The answer is another subtle shift in sensory reality. The lateral line, a series of fluid-filled canals running down the flanks of all sharks, becomes exquisitely amplified in the deep. This system detects minute changes in water pressure and vibration. A deep-sea shark doesn't just hear a struggling fish, it feels its panic as a three-dimensional pressure map painted on its skin. It can sense the rhythmic flutter of a sleeping seal's heartbeat transmitted through the water, a slow, steady beacon in the dark. It is a world rendered not in light, but in a tactile acoustic landscape, a form of perception so alien to us that it borders on telepathy. But the evolutionary imagination of the deep had another, even more theatrical trick to play. If you were to drift a little further, maybe to 2,000 or 3,000 feet, you might see a dot of emerald green light in the distance. It's not a lanternfish. It's a luminous shark. The velvet belly lantern shark is a small creature, maybe a foot or two long, but it carries a secret that perfectly captures the unsettling genius of the deep. Its belly is covered in tiny, light-producing organs called photophores, which emit a soft greenish-blue glow that exactly matches the faint downwelling light from the surface, the last ghost of the sun. This is called counter-illumination. To a predator looking up from below, a normal silhouette of a fish stands out as a dark, obvious shape against the brighter surface. But the lantern shark erases its own shadow. It cloaks itself in a field of simulated skylight, becoming invisible. This bioluminescent camouflage is so precise, so elegant, that it turns the shark from a solid object into a living illusion. But the lantern shark has another light, a more audacious one. On its dorsal fins, it has two heavy, glowing spines. They shine like tiny sabers, a warning signal to anything that might try to swallow it. This is not a placid, drifting fish. It is a creature that has weaponized light itself, turning its body into a theater of defensive illusion and offensive defiance. It is a tiny dragon of the abyss, and it's a perfect example of how the deep takes the familiar architecture of a shark and embellishes it with tools of pure fantasy. The deeper we go, the more the theme of economy, of stretching a meal for a lifetime, dominates the very shape of these animals. A great white is a missile, powered by a warm, turbocharged metabolism that demands constant, rich fuel. A deep-sea shark is a slow-moving storage tank. The frilled shark, another species from the evolutionary basement, looks more like a moray eel than a shark. It holds its ancient lineage in its name and its body, with a set of gill slits that form a frilly collar and a mouth full of 300 multi-cusped, trident-shaped teeth, perfectly designed to snag soft-bodied squid in the total darkness. Its body is elongated, serpentine, and its fins are small and placed far back, a testament to a life of slow, sinuous, undulating movement. It doesn't actively pursue prey in a high-speed chase. It likely hangs in the water column, its body a poised, sinuous question mark, waiting for the faint pressure wave of a passing cephalopod. It can go weeks, perhaps months, between meals. Its gut is a storage locker, its digestion a slow, deliberate furnace that extracts every possible joule of energy. This creates a physical appearance that we find unnerving. The body is not sleek and powerful. It's flabby, lacking the rigid, muscular tone of a surface shark. The skin is loose, the fins soft and rounded. It's a body built for inertia and patience, for a world where the next meal might be an eternity away. It looks to our eyes like a shark that has been partially unmade, a sketch of a predator drawn on a soft, yielding surface. Then there is the most famous of the deep-sea sharks, a creature whose face has launched 1,000 nightmares, but whose reality is even stranger than the fiction. The goblin shark. It's a pinkish, soft-bodied creature, a colour that comes not from pigment, but from visible blood vessels beneath a translucent skin. It has a long, flat, blade-like snout that looks like a trowel, and under it, a set of jaws that represent one of the most extraordinary feeding mechanisms in the animal kingdom. The goblin shark is an ambush predator of the soft-bodied, a hunter of squid and fish in the deep scattering layer. Its snout is covered in a dense network of electroreceptors, the ampullae of Lorenzini. These jelly-filled pores, common to all sharks, are in the goblin shark's bizarre blade of a nose, amplified into a hypersensitive detection grid. It can find the electrical field of a hidden, buried, or invisible animal in absolute darkness. But the true horror show is its jaw. It is double-hinged. When a goblin shark gets close to its prey, it doesn't lunge with its whole body. Its jaw unhinges and shoots forward, a process called slingshot feeding, extending outward from its face like a metal grabber to snatch the prey before retracting back. This happens in fractions of a second. It is a visual so alien, so mechanically improbable for a vertebrate, that it seems like a biological special effect. The goblin shark is not a monster. It's a fragile, slow-moving, neutrally buoyant creature of the deep. But its adaptation to a lightless, scarce world has produced a face and a feeding strategy that taps into something primal in our own psyche, a fear of things that move in ways they shouldn't, of appendages that extend from the dark. As we push beyond the midnight zone past 4,000, 6,000, 10,000 feet, we enter a realm that feels less like an ocean and more like a vast, liquid planet within a planet. This is the abyssal and Haddle zone, a world of near-freezing stillness and pressures that can reach a ton per square centimetre. It is a realm of soft, silky sediment that can be hundreds of feet thick, a record of marine snow, the gentle, constant rain of organic detritus from the world of light above. It takes a particle of dead plankton months to fall this far, a slow, decaying confetti of death that sustains almost all life on the abyssal plane. Here, life is sparse, but it is shockingly, persistently present, and sharks still glide through it. The Portuguese dogfish is one such pioneer. It is a sleeper shark, a relative of the Greenland shark, but smaller, reaching only about 3 feet. It's a creature of the lower continental slopes and abyssal plains, found at depths of over 12,000 feet. Its body is a uniform, dark chocolate brown, and its eyes are a large, luminous green, designed to catch the faintest flicker of bioluminescence in the absolute dark. At these depths, the concept of a predator-prey relationship takes on a quality of slow-motion theatre. Everything is energy expensive. A Portuguese dogfish doesn't squander calories on a flashy chase. It drifts along the bottom, its large, sensitive lateral line scanning the sediment for the slow, burrowing movements of deep-sea fishes, polychaete worms, or small crustaceans. It is a grazer on the sparse, protein-rich morsels of the abyss, a patient, methodical gleaner. The most mesmerizing adaptation of these true abyssal sharks, however, may be their relationship with the abyssal plane itself. The sediment isn't just a place to find food. It's a landscape of immense age, and some sharks have learned to be a part of its slow geological rhythm. They don't just swim over the sediment, they interact with it in ways that are profoundly eerie. Imagine a shark, maybe a cat shark of a species we haven't even named yet, that doesn't lay a standard egg case on a rock, because there are no rocks. Instead, it produces an egg case of a different, more robust design, anchoring it into the soft ooze with long, curling tendrils that act like sea anchors, allowing the embryo to develop for a year or more in the silent, still darkness, rocked by the gentle, near-imperceptible currents of the deep. Or imagine the blunt-nosed sixgill again, but this time not on its nightly migration, but a massive female, 15 feet long, settling onto the soft bottom to give birth. There are no witnesses. The pups, born live, must immediately navigate a world of absolute darkness and crushing pressure. Their first instinct not to hunt, but simply to be, to hover and conserve. Tiny, perfectly formed replicas of their ancient parent, already carrying the blueprint for a life that can span human generations. This isn't just surviving. It's a slow, continuous lineage of existence in a place where time is measured not in seasons, but in the turnover of the ocean itself. Let's drift further into the concept of scale and time, because the deep ocean connects these things in a way the surface world cannot. The lifespan of a Greenland shark is a number so large it's difficult to hold in your mind. Radiocarbon dating of the eye-lens nuclei from sharks caught as bycatch has revealed ages of roughly 400 years. That means a shark swimming in the fjords of Greenland today could have been born before the Mayflower landed at Plymouth Rock. It would have been a mature adult, old and wise in the ways of the deep. During the Enlightenment, it swam through the Industrial Revolution, both world wars, the entire digital age, as a silent, slow and steady witness in the cold dark, its body a library of chemical information, its tissue carrying the isotopic memory of centuries of oceanic change. The creepiness we feel isn't just about how it looks, it's about a profound, disquieting sense of scale. To a Greenland shark, a human lifetime is a brief, frenetic flash. It metabolizes life so slowly that a single meal of a dead whale carcass on the seafloor, a whale fall, can sustain it for months. Its muscles twitch with a deliberate, ice age cadence. This creature isn't a monster. It's an organic clock, a living chronicle of deep time, and its placid, milky-eyed face, often host to that parasitic copepod, is a window into a pace of existence that renders our own frantic lives almost nonsensical. And what of the sharks that live not just on the bottom, but in the void of the midwater, at crushing depths far from any continent? The megamouth shark. Before 1976, we didn't even know it existed. A large, slow-moving, filter-feeding shark with a huge rounded head and a soft, flabby body was caught in a sea anchor off Hawaii, and it opened up an entirely new chapter of deep-sea mystery. The megamouth is a ghost among sharks, known from only a few hundred sightings. It migrates vertically, spending its days in the deep dark water, probably around 4,000 feet, and rising at night to shallower depths to feed on plankton, krill, and jellyfish. Its mouth is a cavernous scoop, and the inside of its upper lip is thought to be bioluminescent, a glowing strip that lures plankton into its dark velvet maw. This is the same principle as an anglerfish's lure, but on a fish that can grow to 18 feet long, a bus-sized animal that feeds like a drifting net, using a built-in light to attract its microscopic prey in the absolute void. We know almost nothing about its social life, its breeding, or even its full geographic range. Every time a megamouth is found or washed ashore, it is a major scientific event. It's a reminder that the creepiest shark of all might not be the one with the biggest teeth, but the one we can't see, the giant that exists as a rumor, a rare, soft-bodied leviathan that ghosts through the deep scattering layer, its glow a silent signal to the tiny, teeming life it consumes. There's a specific physical phenomenon that defines life in the deep more than almost any other, and it's one we rarely consider. The deep sea is not just dark and cold. It is defined by its lack of hard surfaces. There are no trees, no rocks in the open water column. It's a three-dimensional fluid desert. A surface shark, a tiger shark, is built of rigid muscle and hard, sharp fins. It uses its pectoral fins like airplane wings to generate lift, to steer, to power through turns. A deep-sea shark, living its whole life in the mid-water, away from any boundary, has largely abandoned this. Its pectoral fins become soft, rounded, almost paddle-like. Its skeleton is less mineralized. The very substance of its body is a compromise with the physics of immense pressure. The enzymes in its cells are adapted to work best in the near-freezing cold. Bring a deep-sea shark to the surface, and its biochemistry begins to unravel. The proteins denature. The pressure drop causes its watery tissues to swell. It dies from a physics experiment it cannot comprehend. This fragility is the most poetic and haunting thing about them. They are not universally formidable. They are exquisitely, impossibly specialized. A goblin shark out of water is a sad, rapidly collapsing pink mass. It's only a masterpiece of predatory engineering within its specific, crushing, freezing, lightless kingdom. The viper dogfish, a small, foot-long shark of the deep Pacific. If you were to design a shark from scratch to be unsettling, you might end up with something close to the viper dogfish. And yet, nature has produced it in a tiny, elegant package. It is pitch black, with a triangular, distensible jaw and rows of needle-like fang-shaped teeth that are so long they overlap even when its mouth is closed. It has two small dorsal fins, each with a spine, but its most memorable feature is its belly. Like the lantern shark, it has photophores, but the viper dogfish's lights are more concentrated, forming a dark, cowled pattern. It swims with its mouth open, those ghastly teeth glinting, and its belly glowing a soft, seductive light. It's a tiny, slow-moving predator of the twilight zone, a perfect miniature of ferocity adapted for a world where a meal is a rare and precious thing. The creepiness of the viper dogfish isn't in its size. It's in the pure, undiluted concentration of its predatory equipment. It takes the visual language of a threat, the fangs, the blackness, the luminous lure, and compresses it into a body no longer than your forearm. A grim jewel of the abyss. Let's move laterally, not in depth, but in the specific, strange behaviors that pressure and darkness have sculpted. Bioluminescence in sharks isn't just a belly light. It's a complex language we are only beginning to decipher. The kitefin shark, the largest known bioluminescent vertebrate, can reach nearly 6 feet long. It lives in the twilight and midnight zones, a solitary, powerful predator, and it glows. Its entire body, dorsal and ventral, is covered in a network of photophores. This isn't counter-illumination. A 6-foot shark can't hide its silhouette with a belly glow. It's simply too big. So what is the light for? One theory suggests it's a form of species recognition in the dark, a way for kitefin sharks to find each other across the vast, empty stretches of the Mesopelagic Ocean. Another, more unsettling theory is that the glow illuminates the seafloor below it. As the kitefin shark cruises over the abyssal plain, its cold light might create a soft, moving spotlight, revealing hidden prey on the bottom. It's a predator that carries its own searchlight, a biological lantern that probes the darkness below. The idea of a 6-foot, light-emitting shark swimming silently through the absolute black, its body a moving star, is a vision of the deep that is both beautiful and deeply, profoundly alien. The deep also warps the social contract of being a shark. Surface sharks are often solitary but with complex hierarchies. Deep-sea sharks, in the vast emptiness, have a different set of problems. The cookie-cutter shark. It's a small, cigar-shaped fish, barely 20 inches long, with a face and a strategy so bizarre it seems invented. It has thick, fleshy, suctorial lips, and a set of lower teeth that are all fused into one single, serrated, saw-like band. It lives in the twilight zone during the day, and migrates up at night. Its prey is not a whole fish. It's a plug of flesh. The cookie-cutter shark attaches itself to a much larger animal, a tuna, a dolphin, a great white shark, even a submarine's neoprene sonar dome, with its suction cup lips, and then it rotates its body, using its jaw like a melon baller to carve out a perfectly round, deep, crater-like wound. It then detaches and swims away, leaving its giant host with a neat, circular scar, a token of a parasitic interaction in the dark. It's a strategy that requires stealth, a gentle, non-threatening approach, a sudden burst of violent, surgical feeding, and then a quick retreat. The very name cookie cutter speaks to its eerie precision. It's a shark that doesn't kill. It just takes a small living toll, a vampire fish of the deep scattering layer, leaving its symbols carved into the flanks of whales. We find these echoes of predation everywhere, on the skin of a sperm whale, diving deep into the canyon to hunt colossal squid. We see the white, circular scars of giant squid suckers, but also the smaller, neater divots from past cookie-cutter encounters. The deep ocean is a palimpsest of these invisible, violent events, a document written in scar tissue and chemical trails. The great white shark, a surface terror, when it ventures into the deep transition zone, becomes just another piece of the mosaic, a potential host for a smaller, more bizarre shark. This ecological truth bends our perception. The predator is parasitized. The master of one world is the meal of another. Power becomes relative, distributed not in a simple pyramid, but in a web of weird, specific interactions that happen in the permanent darkness, unseen by any human eye. Now, let's consider a shark that connects the abyss to the very origin of the word monster. The frilled shark, which we touched on, deserves a deeper, more unsettling look. Its body pan is a long, eel-like ribbon, and its head is flattened, with a pair of unblinking oval green eyes. Its mouth is a terminal gaping hinge, full of row after row of those backward-curving trident-shaped teeth. The frilled shark is a live-bearing species, but its gestation period is an almost unthinkable 3.5 years. That's longer than an elephant. For over 3 years, a female frilled shark carries her developing pups inside her, in the cold, food-scarce depths, a marathon of maternal endurance in slow motion. When they are finally born, they are miniature adults, already carrying the ancient sinuous form of their lineage. The frilled shark's movement is a silent, serpentine undulation. It doesn't have the powerful, rigid side-to-side stroke of a surface shark. Its whole body is a fluid wave. This kind of movement, in the semi-darkness of an observation submersible, reads as deeply uncanny. It looks like a ghost, an optical illusion, a ribbon of flesh moving through the water. Its very existence is a testament to the deep's power as a museum, a place where the architecture of an older Earth is preserved, not in amber, but in the soft, crushing, cold seawater. And the softness of the deep is perhaps its most mind-bending characteristic. Our instincts associate the deep ocean floor with hard rock, with jagged basalt and abyssal mountains, and while those exist, much of the abyssal plain is a vast, undulating field of diatomaceous ooze, a material so fine, so soft, that it's less like mud and more like a fluid. A shark that patrols this landscape, a cat shark or a dogfish, doesn't just swim over it. It can disturb it with the faintest flick of a pectoral fin. The ooze, made of the skeletons of countless microscopic algae, is a snowdrift of biological history. A shark's passage across this plain is a silent, slow-motion interaction with a substance that has been accumulating for millions of years. The creature's body displaces a record of the Miocene, a cloud of ancient plankton stirring up and then resettling. The shark is a sculptor of this historical medium, its daily patrol a disturbance in the geological archive. Let's turn to the sensory world of these bottom-dwelling sharks. Imagine the bottom of the Puerto Rico Trench, over 27,000 feet down. The pressure here is over 800 times the surface atmosphere, a force so great that the complex organic molecules of life are physically constrained. Until recently, we thought fish couldn't live down here, that the pressure destabilized proteins and made complex nervous systems impossible. And yet, we have seen footage. A small, graceful, ghostly shark, a relative of the Portuguese dogfish, swimming slowly over the Haddle mud. Its eyes are small, almost vestigial, mere pinholes in the absolute dark. Its primary sense is not vision, not even electroreception, but a full-body, tactile, acoustic awareness. The ampullae of Lorenzini on its snout are not just for finding prey, they are for navigating a world of absolute texture. The seafloor has subtle electromagnetic gradients, tiny differences in the magnetic minerals of the sediment. The Hadal shark can feel the landscape. It senses the subtle variations in the Earth's magnetic field that are generated by the topography. It's a kind of geomagnetic vision, a way of seeing the shape of the ocean floor without any light. Its body is a living, breathing compass, moving across a map that is painted in magnetic particles, a cartography only it can perceive. This extreme sensory adaptation leads us to a quiet, chilling question. In the absence of light, in the cold uniformity of the abyss, how does a shark find a mate? A world without visual cues demands a different kind of language. The answer for many deep-sea sharks lies in pheromones and specific, slow-motion courtship rituals that we have never seen, but we can infer it from their bodies. The male's claspers, the paired reproductive organs, are often heavily calcified and adorned with hooks and spurs in deep-sea species, more so than in pelagic sharks. This suggests a need for a very secure, positive lock during mating, a physical connection that can last for minutes or hours in the three-dimensional void. It's a tactile, chemical conversation in the dark. Perhaps a female leaves a scent trail in the water. a faint, persistent signature of her hormonal status, a perfume that drifts for miles across the featureless plain. A male detects it with his olfactory bulbs, which are proportionally larger and more sensitive in deep-sea species, and begins a slow, energy-conscious tracking. He follows the plume, a chemical river in the vast, still sea, until he finds her. The encounter is a silent, gentle, perhaps clumsy ballet of pressure and touch, a merging of two ancient, soft-bodied machines in the crushing dark. It's a deep, biological intimacy that is entirely foreign to our concepts of connection, a slow, purposeful coupling in a world devoid of all the usual signals. The darkness also creates a unique problem for the young. Let's follow the life of a newly hatched deep-sea cat's hawk. It emerges from its tendriled egg case on the abyssal plain, a perfect, tiny 6-inch replica of its parent. Its first breath of seawater is at a pressure of 6,000 pounds per square inch. The world it enters is vast, empty, and freezing. Its instinct is not to hunt. It has a yolk sac to absorb, a packed lunch for the first few days. Its instinct is to hide. But there is nowhere to hide. No kelp, no coral, no rocks. Just soft, rolling sediment. The little shark's first act is to become a master of stillness. It settles onto the ooze, its mottled, dark skin blending perfectly. It hardly breathes. Its gills, small and efficient, move the water so slowly that they create no disturbance. It becomes a part of the soft floor, waiting. Its senses are already tuning to the faint chemical signatures of potential prey, a tiny crustacean burrowing in the mud. The young shark's entire existence is a hushed, patient meditation on economy. It is a phantom from its very first moments. Now, let's consider the idea of the deep ocean as a kind of fluid time machine, not just for individual sharks, but for their whole family tree. The shark lineage split from the bony fish lineage over 400 million years ago. That means sharks have survived all 5 major mass extinction events on Earth. The deep sea was their refuge. When an asteroid strike or a volcanic apocalypse caused the surface ocean to acidify, to warm catastrophically, or to lose its oxygen, the deep sea remained a buffer. Its immense volume is thermally stable. Its chemistry is slow to change. The sharks that could retreat into the twilight and midnight zones, that could feed on the slow, steady rain of marine snow, and on deep-water cephalopods, survived. The goblin shark, the frilled shark, the six-gill, they are not just individual species, they are the ambassadors of these ancient evacuations. Their creepy ancient anatomy is not a design flaw. It's a badge of resilience, a physical memory of an unbroken 400 million year chain of survival. They are the past, alive and breathing in the present tense. This idea of the deep as a sanctuary brings us to another, more modern and more disquieting truth. The deep ocean is not an untouched wilderness. The fingerprint of humanity is already down there, long before we have even catalogued half of what lives in it. The creepiness of sharks takes on a new, tragic dimension when we realize we are changing their world in ways they cannot possibly adapt to in their slow-motion timescale. The Greenland shark, that 400-year-old sage, is now being found with microplastics in its stomach and toxic, man-made chemicals like PCBs bioaccumulated in its lipid-rich liver. A creature that has filtered the ocean for centuries is now filtering our synthetic refuse. The cookie-cutter shark, with its precise circular wounds, has been found to bite through the rubberized coatings on submarine fiber-optic cables, mistaking the electromagnetic field for a large predator or prey. And the deep-sea sharks of the seamounts, those isolated oases of biodiversity on the abyssal plain, are being targeted by bottom trawlers. A deep-sea shark, with its incredibly slow reproductive rate, its 3-year gestation, its decades-long maturation, cannot sustain any commercial fishing pressure. Catching one is like felling a redwood tree. The population collapses before science even has a name for the species. The creepiness now resides in an emptiness, a silence that spreads across the seamounts as the old soft-bodied sharks are scraped up and discarded. Let us not end on that note, but instead let's allow our minds to drift into an even deeper, more speculative biological reality. We've spoken of sharks with lights, sharks with slingshot jaws, sharks that live for half a millennium, but the deep ocean has a realm we haven't yet touched, the Hadal Zone. The trenches. The water here is supercooled, often below 0 Celsius, but kept liquid by the immense pressure. This is the realm of the snailfish, of the supergiant amphipods. But what of sharks? A shark egg case was once found in the Java Trench at a depth of over 20,000 feet. No shark has ever been filmed alive at that depth. It's a phantom realm. Could there be a shark down there? A soft, barely calcified, gelatinous creature, a true Hadal shark, its body chemistry using some organic osmolyte, some evolutionary adaptation to stabilize its proteins against the mind-bending pressure. It would be a creature that moves once a day, perhaps, a slow, baggy, blind mouth drifting just above the trench floor. Its senses tuned to the infrequent fall of a dead whale tooth or the tiny vibrations of a trench-endemic worm. Its entire life would be a slow-motion hum, a biological pulse, so faint it barely registers as life. This is the ultimate expression of the deep's creepiness. Not a monster with giant teeth, but a life form so attenuated, so specialized to the edge of existence that it barely has a shape at all. It's the concept of a shark, stripped to its absolute minimum, a ghost of a ghost, a living idea in the deepest, darkest room on Earth. Imagine the slow, silent journey of that hypothetical Hadal shark. It wouldn't have migration patterns like a great white. Its migration would be a slow, once-in-a-decade movement from one end of the trench to another, following the subtle, deep-water currents that bring a slightly higher concentration of oxygen. Its food would be the ultimate in recycling. The deep trenches act as funnels for organic matter. Anything that falls from the continent's edge, a landslide of sediment, a dead kelp frond, the corpse of a surface fish, eventually slides down into the trench. The Hadal shark would be the ultimate gleaner, the final processor. Its body would not be a pristine, silver fish. It would be a brown, flabby, liver-rich animal, its tissues saturated with the accumulated chemistry of the entire water column above it. To see it would be to see the physical manifestation of gravity, of time, of the slow, terrible patience of the deep. Let's connect this back to a shark we know a little more about, but whose deepest secrets are still hidden: the sleeper sharks. The Greenland shark is the most famous, but its cousins, the Pacific sleeper shark and the southern sleeper shark, are even more enigmatic. They are giant, slow-moving predators of the polar and deep temperate seas. The Pacific sleeper can grow to over 20 feet. It has been filmed under deep-water oil rigs in the Gulf of Mexico at depths exceeding 9,000 feet. It is a shark that moves from the near-freezing Arctic to the warm, hydrocarbon seep-saturated depths of the Gulf, a vast secret pathway across the ocean basins. How does it breathe? How does a shark adapted for near-freezing water manage the thermal transition to warmer deep seas? Perhaps it doesn't, really. Perhaps it simply moves so slowly and its metabolism is so low that it acts like a cold-blooded creature even in warmth, its body taking days to equilibrate. Its tissue is full of urea and trimethylamine oxide, a natural antifreeze. It's a walking chemistry experiment, a bag of survival tricks that allow it to ghost through environments that would kill a surface shark in minutes. And its eyes again. Those deep, dark, often parasite-ridden eyes. There's a theory that the copepod parasite on the Greenland shark's eye might not be a purely negative relationship. It's a destructive passenger for sure, but the parasite, Omatococcoweta elongata, is itself bioluminescent. It's a tiny glowing crustacean, dangling from the shark's cornea like a lure. Could the shark, blind in that eye, use the parasite's glow as a fishing lure? A moving light in the deep, attracting curious squid and fish toward its vast, slowly closing mouth. This is speculative, but it fits the deep's logic of bizarre, opportunistic symbiosis perfectly. A blind, centuries-old shark, carrying a glowing parasite on its eye, using its own disability as a trap. It's a biological fable, a story of making use of what you have in a world that offers very little. Now, let's drift to a completely different but equally unsettling morphology, the deep-sea angel shark. Surface angel sharks, like those in the Mediterranean, are already alien enough, flat-bodied, ray-like ambush predators that bury in the sand. But the deep-sea angel sharks, living on the continental slopes at several thousand feet, take this flatness to a new extreme. They are so compressed, their bodies are like organic pancakes, their pectoral fins merged seamlessly into their heads. Their eyes sit on top of their flat skulls like two little periscope turrets. They lie on the soft, muddy bottom, and they don't just hide, they chemically dissolve into the background. Their skin can change its mottling to match the substrate, a slow, passive camouflage. They wait for a small fish or squid to wander close, and then they strike, an explosive, upward pivoting jaw that creates a sudden vacuum, sucking the prey down into the sediment in a puff of silt. It's an ambush so fast, so violent, and yet so contained that it leaves no trace. The angel shark then settles back, its body slowly covering itself again in a fine dusting of ooze, its outline vanishing. It's a master of the deep-sea floor, a predator that has become indistinguishable from the ground itself. And this brings us to the nature of the deep-sea floor. We picture it as a static, quiet cemetery. It is anything but. It's a dynamic, three-dimensional landscape of biological and geological activity. Brine pools, for instance. These are lakes of hypersaline water, so dense they settle on the bottom of the ocean, with their own distinct shorelines and surfaces. For a shark, a brine pool is a toxic death trap. The water in it is so salty it is devoid of oxygen, and any animal falling into it is essentially chemically preserved. But the edges of these pools are teeming with life, thick bacterial mats, specialized mussels, and swarms of amphipods. A deep-sea shark, a sixgill, or a dogfish might patrol these edges, a hunter moving along the shores of a liquid lake at the bottom of the sea. It swims in the normal, oxygenated ocean, but its prey is gathered at the boundary of a toxic alien pool. It's a visual so deeply strange, so counterintuitive, that it reminds us the deep ocean is not just a place. It's a collection of different layered worlds, and the shark navigates them all with an ancient adaptable intelligence. There is a species, the false cat shark, that is particularly emblematic of this abyssal roaming. It is a large, soft-bodied shark with a big, rounded snout and extremely long, narrow, cat-like eyes. It lives on the slopes and rises of the world, usually below 1,500 feet. Its stomach is a cavern. When the contents of false cat shark stomachs have been examined, they have revealed a shocking menu. Not just fish and squid, but the indigestible beaks of dozens of species of deep-sea octopus and squid, some of them quite large, but also more bizarre items, pyrosomes, the bioluminescent, free-floating colonial tunicates that look like glowing, translucent tubes, salps, gelatinous barrels that are notoriously low in nutritional value. It seems the false cat shark is a creature that has learned to feed on the gelatinous, the watery, the things that other predators ignore. This is a profound adaptation. In the food desert of the deep, you eat the food that is available, not the food that is ideal. The false cat shark's body is adapted to process large volumes of these gelatinous organisms, extracting energy from the waterlogged tissues of the deep's most abundant, least substantial citizens. Let's sit with a specific, imagined image, a seamount, an ancient, extinct volcano rising from the abyssal plain to about 4,000 feet below the surface. Its summit is a plateau of encrusted manganese and deep-water coral. The current sweeps around it, bringing nutrients and oxygen. This is an oasis. Here, we find a small ecosystem of sharks, all with slightly different niches. A school of glowing lantern sharks spirals in the current, their counter-illuminated bellies flashing in perfect synchrony as they hunt small mytophids. A solitary blunt-nosed sixgill, a mature female, heavily pregnant, swims a slow, lazy circle around the summit, her ancient brain registering the magnetic contours of the mountain, a mental map she has used for decades. A goblin shark, young and perhaps 8 feet long, is poised just off the edge of the plateau, facing into the current, its bladed snout twitching with electrical data, its jaw relaxing and then slowly resetting itself. A constant, unconscious fidget of the double hinge. A false cat shark cruises below the others, down on the sediment aprons of the seamount's base, its cat eyes scanning the ooze for the faint bioluminescence of a dying salp. This is not a chaotic, dog-eat-dog world. It's a stratified, silent community, a society of slow-motion specialists, each occupying a precise layer of the water column, each using a different sensory toolkit to pass the darkness. The reproductive life of these seamount sharks is a narrative we are only just beginning to discover through the use of deep-sea remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, and even through traces of environmental DNA, or eDNA, we can collect in water samples. Some deep-sea sharks, like some species of lantern shark, use these seamounts as nurseries. The seamounts provide structure, a hard bottom in the vast softness. Here, a female can deposit her egg cases, carefully attaching them to the branches of a deep-water gonian coral. The coral, which is itself an animal, a colonial organism that can be thousands of years old, becomes a nursery for a shark. The egg case, a tough, leathery purse with long, curling tendrils, sways gently in the current. Inside, the tiny shark embryo develops. Feeding on a yolk sac, it can take over a year to hatch. When it does, it's a fully formed, independent predator, emerging from its coral cradle into the darkness, its first instinct to swim up into the water column and begin the slow, patient hunt. The ancient coral, a living structure of calcium carbonate, a slow-growing archive of the ocean's conditions, and the even older lineage of the shark, meet in this quiet, deep-water partnership. This dependency on specific, fragile structures makes deep-sea sharks uniquely vulnerable, and it also makes their world extraordinarily fragile. A single pass of a deep-sea bottom trawl, a weighted net designed to drag the floor, can grind a 1,000-year-old coral reef into rubble in seconds. It can scrape the seamount clean of its egg cases and its slow-moving pups. The sharks, which navigate by a map of magnetic and chemical cues, return to a site that has been erased. Their low, slow reproductive rate means that a single disturbance can break a chain of reproductive success that has been unbroken for millennia. The deep-sea sharks are a library of evolutionary knowledge, and we are burning the library before we have even learned to read the books. The creepiness is no longer just their face or their teeth. It is the vast, looming silence of extinction in a place we can't see. For animals we barely know. Let's move away from the human shadow and drift back into the pure biology. The ampullae of Lorenzini, those electroreceptive pores, are a constant thread in our story. On a great white, they are concentrated on the snout and used to find the electrical field of a hidden seal. On a hammerhead, they are spread across the wide cephalofoil, scanning the sand for the heartbeats of buried rays. But, in the deep, a goblin shark's entire bladed snout, a long, flat appendage, is almost entirely a scanning device. And there are sharks that take this even further. The long-nosed velvet dogfish, a small deep-sea shark, has an absurdly long prehensile snout. It's a tiny, graceful creature of the upper slopes, and it uses its long nose to probe into deep, narrow crevices in the volcanic rock of the ocean floor, feeling for the tiny electrical signatures of hidden crustaceans. It's a tactile sensory probe, a living divining rod. The fish doesn't even need to see the prey. It just feels the invisible fields and then uses its small, precise jaw to extract the morsel. This is the direction of deep-sea shark evolution. The elongation, the softening, the amplification of sensory organs into strange, new, almost whimsical shapes that betray their serious, life-sustaining purpose. But let's return to the light. The bioluminescence in sharks is not just a belly glow. It has a complex hormonal and neural control system. The velvet belly lantern shark, that tiny master of camouflage, doesn't just turn its belly light on and off. It can modulate it precisely, matching the downwelling light minute by minute. It has a pineal gland, a third eye of sorts, a translucent window on the top of its head that measures the ambient light above it. This signal is relayed to the photophores, which adjust their output to create a perfect anti-shadow. This is a biological feedback loop of sublime complexity. The shark is essentially a living optical computer, its body continuously calculating and recalibrating its own luminosity to match the background glow of the sky. This is a creature of deep physics, a fish that understands, in a purely biological sense, the behavior of photons in water and has evolved a system to cancel its own optical presence. It's a paradox, a shark made of light that uses light to become invisible. This has led some scientists to speculate on the social uses of the light. In the deep scattering layer, lantern sharks are not alone. They exist in schools of hundreds, sometimes thousands. Their individual counter-illumination must be synchronized. Otherwise, a single dark or overbright individual would stand out. This implies a constant, silent communication, a school-wide agreement on the exact luminosity needed. Are they using chemical signals? Subtle body language? A tiny flicker of a dorsal spine that sends a ripple of adjustment through the school? We don't know. But the image is breathtaking. A massive, coordinated school of small, glowing sharks, moving as a single, perfect ghostly mass through the twilight zone. Their bodies a flowing language of light, invisible to the predators below, a living, shape-shifting cloud of photons. It's a biological phenomenon that rivals the most complex behaviors of birds or fish in the sunlit world. But it's happening in a place of eternal night. Now, let's consider the sensory world of a shark hunting a whale fall. A whale fall is the ultimate deep-sea event. When a great whale dies and its body sinks to the abyssal plain, it is a shock to the system. An avalanche of food, tens of tons of rich blubber, muscle and bone, delivered to a world of scarcity. The first responders are the mobile scavengers, six-gills, sleeper sharks, large deep-sea dogfish. They can sense the event from miles away. How? The initial plume of blood and bodily fluids dissipates quickly, but the real signal is a low-frequency thumping from the consumption, the sounds of the first jaws tearing at the flesh, the pressure waves of large bodies colliding. These propagate through the deep sound channel, a layer of water where sound can travel for vast distances with minimal loss. A blunt-nosed six-gill, cruising a mile away, feels these vibrations not just as sound, but as a physical pressure on its lateral line. It's a dinner bell that can be felt across a range equivalent to a small city. The shark turns, its body tilting into the current, and begins its slow, steady approach. It's a journey that might take a day. When it arrives, the scene is one of organized chaos. Dozens of sharks, some of them giants, are feeding on the carcass. There is no fighting. There's a quiet, slow-motion order. The sharks take turns pulling and twisting with their strong, flexible jaws, their bodies pressing against the soft blubber. It's a feast that can last for months, supporting a whole succession of life. And the sharks are the grand opening ceremony, the heavy lifters that tear open the gift to make it accessible to all the smaller, stranger creatures that will follow. This communal feeding behavior has a strange, gentle side to it. Under the dim lights of an ROV, a cluster of sleeper sharks feeding on a whale fall looks almost serene. Their large, slow bodies overlap, their skin touching. Their movements are languid, unhurried. There's a cooperation born of surplus. In a place where a single meal is a miracle, a whale fall is a banquet that removes the need for competition. It's a temporary truce, a pause in the solitary silence of the deep. This highlights a profound truth. The creepiness of these sharks is a projection of our own surface-based biases. In their own world, their slow, soft bodies, their unblinking eyes, their patient, gliding movement are the perfect, logical, and even beautiful adaptations to an environment of absolute constraint. The creepiness is not theirs. It's a gap in our understanding. We fear the slow, deliberate movement because it is alien, but in the deep, it is the only way to be. Let's follow the life cycle of a deep-sea shark from the perspective of time itself. Imagine the life of a single female Greenland shark, born in a deep, cold Greenlandic fjord in the year 1600. Her early years are a complete mystery. We don't even know where the young go, but by the time she's a mature adult, it's the year 1750. She begins her slow annual patrol of the North Atlantic, diving deep into the abyssal plains off Iceland, then rising to the shallow, near-freezing surface waters of the fjord. She lives through the Little Ice Age, her body perfectly at home in the freezing water. She witnesses, in her silent, blind way, the decline of the great whale populations, the arrival of wooden ships, then steamships, then oil tankers. She feels the ocean slowly warm over her 4th century of life. Her tissues, as she feeds on seals and fish, slowly accumulate the industrial pollutants of the 20th century. Her ancient, slow-swimming body becomes a repository of human history. By the time she is accidentally caught in a bottom trawl in the year 2020, she has lived through 400 years of continuous change. Her death is a loss of an archive, a silencing of the oldest voice in the ocean. This is not just a fish, it's a chronicle. And the deep sea is full of these chronicles, swimming silently, their life stories encoded in the chemistry of their bones and livers. Stories we are only just learning how to read. The more we learn, the more the line between the creepy and the wondrous blurs. The goblin shark's slingshot jaw, once a pure horror movie image, is now understood as a masterpiece of kinematic efficiency. The frilled shark's serpentine body, once a sea serpent of myth, is a perfect undulating engine for energy conservation. The lantern shark's glowing belly, a tool of invisibility, is a biological LED screen of astonishing sophistication. The deep ocean, by its very nature, takes the familiar and stretches it into the surreal. A shark is a shape we all recognize, the dorsal fin, the crescent tail, the lateral eyes, but in the abyss that shape is pulled like taffy, stretched into eels, flattened into pancakes, softened into pillows, and lit up like a carnival. It is a laboratory of morphological possibility, and the sharks are its most successful, enduring, and eerily beautiful experiments. Now, let's descend into a new realm of pressure and mystery. The Hadal Trenches, those deepest scars on the Earth's crust, are a place where physics itself seems to conspire against complex life. The pressure at the bottom of the Mariana Trench is over 1,000 atmospheres, a crushing, relentless force that alters the very chemistry of proteins and the fluidity of cell membranes. For a long time, we believed sharks couldn't exist here. The cartilaginous skeleton, the liver full of low-density oil, these adaptations that work so well in the mid-water were thought to fail under such extreme pressure. And yet, we have found the egg case of a cat shark at 20,000 feet. We have tantalizing, fleeting glimpses from baited cameras of what might be a small, soft-bodied shark moving along the Hadal mud. The possibility of a true Hadal shark, a creature that has somehow solved the pressure problem, is one of the great remaining mysteries of the deep. What would it look like? Its skeleton would be almost completely non-calcified, flexible and soft. Its muscles would be a watery, gelatinous tissue. Its liver, instead of a single, large buoyancy organ, might be dispersed into a network of small, oil-filled channels throughout its body. Its eyes would be absent, replaced by bare, unpigmented patches of skin sensitive only to the faintest possible bioluminescence. From trench-endemic anemones or sea cucumbers, it would be a ghost of a shark, a collection of pale, soft, barely animate functions, drifting just above the floor of the trench, its entire existence a slow-motion, eon-spanning hum of patience. This hypothetical Hadal shark, if it exists, would be the ultimate expression of the deep's logic, to strip away everything that is not absolutely necessary, to become almost indistinguishable from the water itself. It's a logic that applies, to a lesser degree, to all deep-sea sharks. They are defined by absence, the absence of light, the absence of warmth, the absence of hard surfaces, the absence of food, and in that vacuum they have created a presence of a different kind. Their bodies are the anti-sharks, the photographic negative of the great white, where the great white is a fast, warm, rigid, powerful presence. The deep-sea shark is a slow, cold, soft, and patient absence. This inversion is the core of their creepiness. They are not just different. They are the biological opposite of what we expect. Let's think about the bacteria that live in the photophores of the lantern sharks. The light is not produced by the shark itself, but by a dense, symbiotic culture of luminous bacteria housed in complex lens-shaped and shutter-equipped organs. The shark's body has evolved a sophisticated system to cultivate, feed, and control these bacteria. It's a light farm on its belly. The bacteria, in turn, get a safe, nutrient-rich home and constant transport. This symbiosis is ancient, likely as old as the deep-sea shark lineages themselves. The shark, then, is not an individual, but a floating ecosystem, a curated collection of microbes that it uses to erase its own shadow. This is a deeply humbling biological reality. Even in the most alien, self-contained predator of the deep, we find a community, a collaborative effort between a vertebrate and a colony of single-celled organisms to create an illusion of pure emptiness. And what of the sharks that live in the deep scattering layer, that dense band of life that rises and falls with the diurnal cycle? These sharks are part of the largest daily migration on Earth. During the day, the scattering layer sits in the twilight zone, a diffuse, dense soup of lanternfish, krill, and squid. The lantern sharks, the viper dogfish, the cookie cutters, they are all there, hanging in the water, their metabolisms idling. As dusk falls on the surface, a chain reaction begins. The tiny copepods begin to ascend. The lanternfish follow them. The squid follow the lanternfish, and the sharks follow the squid. It's an elevator of life, a vertical river of biomass flowing upward every night. A shark that spends its day in the cold, 4-degree water of the twilight zone can ride this elevator into the relative warmth of the surface layer, using the cover of darkness to feed. This daily exposure to different pressure, temperature, and light regimes is a physiological feat. The shark's body has to be a generalist in some ways, able to handle a pressure change of hundreds of atmospheres in a few hours, a thermal change of up to 10 degrees Celsius. This is the hidden athletic skill of the deep-sea shark. It's a vertical marathon runner, a creature that exists in a constant slow-motion commute between the surface and the abyss. The vertical migrators have a different body plan to the permanent abyssal residents. They are more muscular, more heavily calcified with better vision. The cookie cutter shark, for instance, has a dense, muscular body, a powerful tail, and a precise, calculated way of moving. It's a migrant, and its body shows it. The permanent residents, the abyssal dogfish and the false cat sharks, are the ones that become truly soft. This is a key to understanding the deep. There are zones of migration and zones of permanent residence. and the sharks are perfectly tuned to their specific vertical itinerary. A shark that never leaves the abyssal plain is a balloon of water and oil, a creature that has surrendered to the crushing quiet. A shark that migrates is a compromise, a bridge between the world of pressure and the world of light, carrying secrets from one realm to another every night. Let's now just drift through the water, following a single, small, bioluminescent shark. Picture a female velvet belly lantern shark, just 6 inches long, perfectly invisible. She's cruising over the continental slope at 2,000 feet. It's daytime in the world above, but here it's a dark, star-filled night. She's scanning for the faint pressure wave of a copod. Her lateral line feels a tiny rhythmic thrum. She tilts, her pectoral fins making a minute adjustment, and she intercepts the tiny crustacean, her small sharp teeth crunching down. The copepod's own bioluminescent burst as its crushed flashes once, a tiny silent firework, before going dark. The lantern shark swallows and continues. She's part of a school, hundreds of identical females, all glowing with the same soft, downwelling matched light, all moving in silent, perfect coordination. They are a constellation in the deep sky, a school of false stars. Their existence is a ballet of subtle adjustments, constant, minute calibrations of light and motion, a life lived entirely in the delicate boundary between being seen and being invisible. This is not a creepy existence. It's a serene, almost mathematically beautiful one. We have used the word creepy quite many times tonight, and it's important to understand what we mean by it. It's not an insult to these ancient, resilient animals. It's a description of the feeling they evoke in us, a feeling born of a collision between our surface-based expectations and their deep-sea reality. The slow, steady movement of a six-gill, the gelatinous flesh of a false cat shark, the extending jaw of a goblin shark, the parasitic glow on a blind Greenland shark's eye. These things are unsettling because they break the rules. Our brains are pattern-matching engines, evolved on the savannah to recognize the movements of predators and prey in bright sunlight. A deep-sea shark is a pattern mismatch. It's too slow, it's too soft. Its face is too incomplete or too disturbingly specialized. The feeling of creepiness is, in a way, our own neurological flaw, a failure of our own perception to correctly interpret a perfectly adapted organism. The deep ocean is a Rorschach test for our own fears. The sharks that live there have simply moved beyond our ability to easily categorize them. This brings us to the skin. Shark skin is famously rough, made of tiny, tooth-like structures called dermal denticles. In surface sharks, these denticles are hard, sharp, and create a micro-turbulence that reduces drag, making them faster and quieter. In a deep-sea shark, these denticles are often different. In the velvet belly lantern shark, the denticles are soft and tiny, more like the pile of a fabric, giving it a smooth, almost plush feel. This softness is a potential adaptation for a slow-moving life, reducing the creation of tiny, telltale bioluminescent sparkles that might occur if a hard, sharp denticle collided with a dinoflagellate. In the kitefin shark, the skin is porous and full of the luminous bacteria, so the skin itself is a glowing organ. In the goblin shark, the skin is so translucent that the pink blood vessels show through. The deep has re-engineered the very surface of the shark's body, turning it from a suit of hydrodynamic armor into a soft, light-managing, blood-revealing membrane. The shark's boundary with the world, its skin, is a different kind of interface in the deep, a quiet, glowing, permeable veil rather than a hard, sharp wall. And let's not forget the fins. The dorsal fin of a great white is an icon of menace, a rigid triangular blade cutting the surface. In the deep, the dorsal fin is often reduced, soft, and placed far back on the body. The goblin shark's dorsal fins are small, round, and floppy. The frilled shark's dorsal fin is a tiny, insignificant flap near the tip of its serpentine tail. The Portuguese dogfish has small, soft, well-separated dorsal fins, each with a fragile grooved spine on the leading edge. The spine is a defensive mechanism, a last-ditch effort to jab into the mouth of a predator. But it's not a fast, slashing weapon. It's a slow, passive defense, a piece of sharp grit in a soft body. The deep-sea shark's fins are not for high-speed maneuverability. They are for fine, subtle adjustments in pitch and yaw, for holding a perfect, neutrally buoyant hover. They are the fins of a spacecraft maneuvering in zero gravity, not the wings of a fighter jet. The tails, too, tell a story. A surface shark's tail, the caudal fin, is crescent-shaped, with a large muscular lower for powerful, sudden acceleration. A deep-sea shark's tail is often asymmetrical, with a short, small lower lobe or none at all. The Greenland shark's tail is a broad, paddle-like structure designed for slow, steady, sustained movement. It doesn't sprint, it walks in a hydrodynamic sense. The thresher shark, a twilight zone migrant, has the bizarre elongated upper caudal lobe that it uses like a whip to stun small fish, a unique energy-efficient hunting technique. But even that tail, long as it is a thin, flexible ribbon. It's a tool of precision, not brute force. The deep has taken the propulsive engine of the shark and retuned it for a different kind of driving, moving from the explosive, high-octane acceleration of the surface to the slow, steady, low RPM chug of the abyss. Let's continue to drift into the very deepest, coldest, and least explored part of the world, the Southern Ocean. The Antarctic continental shelf is home to some of the coldest water on Earth, often hovering just below freezing. Here, the sharks are rare, but they are ancient and immense. The Greenland shark's southern cousin, the southern sleeper shark, haunts these waters. And in the deep, dark, freezing water, they have adapted to a world of ice. How does a shark interact with ice? Anchor ice can form on the sea floor. Brinicles, the physicals of death, can creep down from the surface, freezing everything in their path. A shark in these waters must have a body chemistry that doesn't freeze. Its blood is full of antifreeze proteins, a delicate biochemical cocktail that prevents ice crystals from forming in its tissues. This is a different kind of creepiness. The shark is not just a soft-bodied phantom of the dark. It's a liquid animal in a world that is perpetually on the verge of becoming solid. Its existence is a chemical balance, a constant molecular negotiation with the freezing point of water. In the silence of the Southern Ocean, a southern sleeper shark, maybe 18 feet long, glides over a bed of soft, siliceous ooze, the skeletons of diatoms. Its large, ancient body is a dark, slow-moving mass in the near-freezing stillness. It is patrolling a contour line of the shelf, a depth of maybe 6,000 feet. Above it, the water column is a near-solid mass of cold. Below it, the sediment is a record of the Antarctic ice ages, layers of diatom blooms from distant, warmer interglacials. The shark is a moving, breathing boundary between the geological past and the present moment. Its presence here, in this extreme polar deep, is a reminder that the creepiness of sharks is not a tropical phenomenon. It's a universal abyssal truth. The deep ocean is continuous, a single interconnected, cold, dark world, and the slow, soft, ancient sharks are its cosmopolitan citizens. We've talked about the individual, the species, the physiology. Let's now consider the behavior from a different perspective, the ethical one. A slow-moving 400-year-old Greenland shark is essentially a sentient historical document. Its brain is not a complex mammalian brain, but its senses are a rich, deep-time tapestry of the North Atlantic. What is the nature of its experience? It is an ongoing, 4-century-long perceptual event. Its consciousness, whatever form it takes, is a continuous, slow-motion awareness of pressure, temperature, salinity, and vibration. It is a living, breathing record of the ocean's changing state. The concept of creepiness here almost becomes a form of profound respect. This is not a mind we can easily comprehend. Its time frame is so slow, a human life is a fleeting, barely registered event. A sonar ping, a submarine's engine, a deep-sea trawl. All these human intrusions are potentially just a brief, confusing, pressure wave anomaly to an animal whose internal clock ticks in centuries. Our entire industrial revolution is a single, short, loud, unpleasant afternoon in its life. This temporal disconnect is, I think, the true, final, and most unsettling layer of the deep-sea shark's nature. They are not just animals living in a different place. They are animals living in a different time. The deep ocean is a slow time environment. The carbon cycle there is on a millennial scale. The currents move at a glacial pace. The animals, the sharks especially, have matched their own internal rhythms to this slow planetary pulse. The Greenland shark's heart beats maybe once every 10 seconds. Its digestion can take days. It can go a year without food. This is not a slow, dying creature. This is a perfectly healthy, superbly adapted creature that has simply synchronized its life to the rhythm of the abyss. Our own perception, keyed to a fast, sun-driven surface rhythm, reads this slow synchronization as something wrong, something eerie. It's not wrong. It's a different, older, and more patient form of life. Think about a deep-sea shark growing. A great white grows fast, reaching maturity in maybe 15 years. A Greenland shark grows less than a centimeter a year and doesn't reach sexual maturity until it is around 150 years old. Think of that. A creature that is not capable of reproduction until it has already lived for a century and a half. Its growth rings in its vertebrae, revealed by radiocarbon dating, are a calendar of deep time. This slow growth is a strategy. It invests its energy in maintenance, in repair, in the slow, careful accumulation of a body mass that can survive the long, unpredictable famines of the abyss. It's a biological investment strategy with a 4-century horizon. This is so far outside the human scale of planning, of life, of perception, that it almost breaks our ability to fully understand it. The shark's life is a long, slow, deep breath, and our entire lives are just the brief moment of its exhalation. This leads us to a final, quiet thought before we continue to drift through the midnight zone of the mind. The deep ocean is the largest habitat on Earth. Over 90% of the planet's living space is in the deep sea, and almost all of it is dark, cold, and pressurized. The sharks that live there are the dominant vertebrate predators of this vast interior planet. They are the wolves, the lions, the bears of the abyss, but their dominion is one of soft, slow, patient authority. The more we study them, the more the surface-based stereotypes of the shark as a mindless, aggressive killing machine are revealed to be a tiny, shallow, incomplete picture. The true story of sharks is not in the bite, it's in the breath, the slow, long, deep breath of the dark ocean. The surface great white is a spectacular, specialized visitor to our world. The deep-sea shark is a permanent resident of the planet's vast, hidden interior. And so, as we drift here, suspended in this imagined, crushing, beautiful darkness, let's go of the need for the shark to be a monster. The goblin shark's pink, soft face, its slingshot jaw, its floppy fins, it's not a monster. It's a highly specialized, rare, and completely wonderful solution to a very hard problem. The problem is this: how do you catch a fast, soft-bodied squid when you are neutrally buoyant in a near-freezing, lightless void with almost no energy to spare? The answer is a face that looks like a child's drawing of a monster, but functions like a precision-engineered biological caliper. The creepiness is our own problem. The shark has solved its own, far more difficult existential one. It has found a way to be a shark in a place where a shark has no right to be. And it has done so with a quiet, evolutionary genius that we are only just beginning to appreciate. Let's imagine a specific scene, a quiet vignette from the deep, a deep-water ROV, its lights off to save power and avoid disturbing the animals, drifts at 3,000 feet in the Canary Islands. The pilot, using a low-light camera, sees a faint greenish glow approaching. It's a kitefin shark, nearly 6 feet long. It's swimming slowly, its entire body emitting a soft, uniform bioluminescence. It's not just its belly, its back, its fins, its tail. They all glow with a cold, steady light. It looks like a ghost, a swimming, luminous silhouette. It's not afraid of the ROV. It likely has no concept of what it is. It swims closer, its light casting a faint greenish glow on the dark, silent machine. The pilot can see its eye, a dark, ancient, unblinking orb, reflecting the faint light of its own body. The shark circles once, its lateral line processing the strange inert pressure wave signature of the ROV, and then it slowly, gracefully swims back into the deep, its light fading into the infinite blackness. It's a moment of pure alien encounter, a visitation by a form of life so different, so perfectly adapted to its world, that it feels like a message from another planet. This is the true face of the deep-sea shark, not a face of terror, but a face of profound, otherworldly adaptation. The deep ocean is not a kingdom of nightmares. It's a gallery of slow-motion evolutionary art. The sharks are its masterpieces, each one, from the tiny glowing lantern shark to the vast blind Greenland shark, is a living sculpture, shaped by the immense patient forces of pressure, cold, darkness, and time. Their bodies are a physical record of their environment. The soft, flabby skin is the shape of scarcity. The bioluminescent belly is the shape of downwelling light. The slingshot jaw is the shape of the void's elusive prey. The centuries-long lifespan is the shape of the abyss's slow, rhythmic pulse. Let's now follow a thought experiment. What if we could see the deep ocean as a shark sees it? Not with light, but with a full body, acoustic and electrical image. The world would be a three-dimensional pressure map. The flutter of a gill, the click of a shrimp, the distant thump of a whale fall. All would be immediate, tactile presences. The seafloor would not be a flat, dark plain, but a complex, undulating landscape of electromagnetic gradients. The buried skeletons of ancient metal deposits and the subtle, living fields of hidden animals. A brine pool would be a sharp, dangerous chemical boundary. A wall in the water. A school of squid would be a confusing, bright constellation of nervous system electricity. The shark would navigate this rich sensory tapestry with a quiet, effortless grace. This is a form of perception so far beyond human vision that it's almost impossible to fully imagine. But to try is to begin to understand that the shark is not a simple, primitive creature. It's an animal with a deeply complex alternative sensory reality, a kind of perceptual consciousness that has been refined over 400 million years. And the deep sea is not a silent world. We think of it as quiet, but to a shark's lateral line, it's a constant, subtle symphony of pressure waves. The sound of waves breaking on a shore thousands of miles away, the low-frequency hum of the planet's tectonic plates grinding, the deep, quiet song of a blue whale. These all travel through the deep sound channel. A shark's body is a living, fluid-filled antenna, tuned to the planet's bass notes. This is the whale fall's dinner bell, the distant earthquake's warning. The slow, rhythmic pulse of the world. The deep-sea shark is not isolated. It is intimately connected to the entire ocean's acoustic system. Let's bring our attention back to a specific visual detail. The teeth. The teeth of a deep-sea shark are not just for cutting. In the Goblin shark, the teeth are long, slender, and needle-like, perfectly adapted for gripping and piercing the soft, gelatinous bodies of squid. There is no shearing, no sawing, just a quick, precise impalement. In the frilled shark, the teeth are trident-shaped, backward curving, and arranged in rows that line the entire jaw, creating a perfect eel-like trap. In the cookie cutter, the lower teeth are a single, fused, saw-like band. In the viper dogfish, the teeth are so long they protrude from the mouth, a permanent, fang-like cage. Each set of teeth is a precise, sculptural tool molded by the specific, elusive, soft-body prey of the dark ocean. The teeth are not a generic weapon. They are a specific key to a specific protein source. The evolution of deep-sea shark dentition is a study in the perfect, elegant fit between a form and its function. The digestion of these sharks is equally specialized. A deep-sea shark's stomach is often a large, distensible bag. Its gastric juices are potent, able to dissolve the beaks of squid and the bones of fish. But its intestine has a unique structure called the spiral valve. This is a corkscrew-shaped internal structure that dramatically increases the surface area for nutrient absorption. In a deep-sea shark, where every meal is precious, the spiral valve is exceptionally long and tightly coiled. The food passes through this slow, twisting, absorbing passage for a very long time. The shark wrings every last calorie, every last molecule of energy, from the rare feast. It's a digestive system of extreme efficiency, a slow, patient internal process that matches the slow, patient external life of the animal. Now, let's reflect on the migration of the blunt-nosed sixgill, which we touched on earlier, but with more detail. Every night, the sixgill performs a slow vertical ascent. It's not a frantic surface-bound rush. It's a gradual, deliberate upward drift. As it rises, the pressure drops, the temperature changes slightly, and the light, even at night, increases. The sixgill's body, with its primitive, flexible physiology, handles these changes with a quiet, ancient competence. It reaches the upper edge of the twilight zone, maybe 600 feet deep, and it begins to hunt. It uses its large, blunt head and its 6 gill slits, which increase its respiratory efficiency in low-oxygen water, to slowly patrol the edges of the scattering layer. It ambushes small fish and squid with a sudden, powerful suction generated by its large mouth. As the first hint of dawn approaches, the sixgill turns and begins its slow descent back into the darkness. It's a daily commute between the world of pressure and the world of almost light, a rhythm that has been ongoing in its lineage for millions of years. This is not a creepy nocturnal monster. It's a creature of ancient habit, a deep-sea commuter following a deep time schedule. Let's talk more about the cookie-cutter shark, because its biology is one of the most remarkable and unnerving in the animal kingdom. Its mouth is a perfect circular suction cup. Its lips are large, fleshy, and highly vascularized. When it approaches a target, be it a tuna, a whale, or a submarine, it does so with a slow, gentle, non-threatening glide. It uses its bioluminescent belly to match the downwelling light, so from below, it's invisible. But it also has a dark, non-luminous collar on its throat. This collar, against the glowing belly, creates a small, fish-shaped dark patch. This is a lure. A tuna, seeing this small dark silhouette against the faint light from above, thinks it's a tiny fish. It approaches, intending to eat it. At the last second, the cookie-cutter shark darts forward, attaches its suction cup lips, and drives its fused, saw-like lower teeth into the tuna's side. It then twists its entire body, corkscrewing in the water, and cleanly removes a perfect cylindrical plug of flesh. The whole attack takes a second. The cookie-cutter releases and swims away, its prey left with a neat, deep, circular wound. It's a strategy that combines camouflage, aggressive mimicry, and specialized surgical morphology. It's a brilliant, blood-curdling adaptation, and the shark is small enough to fit in your hands. The livers of these sharks are another deep, oily secret. The liver of a deep-sea shark is not just for buoyancy. It's an energy reservoir, an oil depot. The oil squalene is less dense than water, providing lift, but it's also incredibly energy-rich. A deep-sea shark can live off its liver for months, slowly metabolizing the oil during long periods of famine. The liver can shrink significantly between meals and then swell again after a large feast. This is why the body of a deep-sea shark often looks flabby and distended. It's a flexible fuel tank system. The very shape of the animal changes with its nutritional status. A well-fed false cat shark is a thick, robust animal. A starved one is a thin, watery, flaccid creature. The body is a direct, visual indicator of the ocean's unpredictable bounty. This fluid, dynamic morphology is another unsettling, deeply fascinating trait. The shark is not a fixed shape. It's a variable container of energy, its form dictated by the random, chaotic fall of food from the surface. And the sharks are not the only ones down here. Their world is populated by other, equally strange, gelatinous creatures. The siphonophores, the giant colonial jellyfish that can be longer than a blue whale, drift like curtains of stinging light. The big fin squid, with its long elbow-like tentacles, hovers in the abyss. The deep-sea shark navigates through this forest of sticky, stinging, glowing organisms. Its skin, its dermal denticles, its sensory system, all are adapted to avoid these hazards. Some sharks, like the false cat shark, eat them anyway. The deep is a world of gelatinous, stinging, transparent life, and the shark is the solid, muscular, ancient vertebrate that has learned to move through this alien forest without becoming entangled. This is a testament to its precise, careful, slow-moving navigation. The shark is not a bull in a china shop. It's a quiet, deliberate walker through a minefield of delicate, dangerous, glowing traps. Now, let's imagine the deep ocean floor as a vast, slow-motion desert, and the sharks as its nomadic wanderers. A Portuguese dogfish, 12 inches long, is born on a seamount. It spends its early life hunting the small crustaceans and polychaeteworms of that specific mountain. As it matures, it begins to wander. It follows a subtle deep water current, a river in the abyss, for hundreds of miles. It navigates not by sight, but by the taste of the water, the magnetic contours of the sea floor, the subtle changes in pressure. It's a nomad, a solitary wanderer in a dark, silent desert. Its small green eyes scan the darkness for the faint bioluminescent flicker of a potential meal or a potential mate. Its existence is a slow, steady walk across the vast, featureless plain. This is the life of the abyssal shark, a life of solitary, silent, patient wandering. It's not a life of action and predation. It's a life of quiet, enduring presence. This wandering life has a profound loneliness to it. But it's a loneliness that is perfectly adapted to. The shark is not social. It doesn't need company. Its whole biology is a self-contained, slow-burning, mobile ecosystem. It carries its own fuel, its own light, its own sensory world with it. It is a complete, self-sufficient unit of slow life. This is a form of existence that is alien to our social, warm-blooded, fast-paced human experience. The deep-sea shark is a creature of pure, independent, self-contained existence. Its entire life is a long, quiet, solitary meditation on the nature of scarcity and patience. As we begin to slowly, very slowly, ascend from these depths in our minds, let's consider the legacy of these creatures. They are not just strange fish. They are the living embodiment of the planet's deep, hidden, enduring life. They have survived every catastrophe that has hit this Earth. They have watched, in their slow, silent way, the continents move, the climate shift, the great extinctions wipe out the surface species. They have endured because they found a refuge in the cold, dark, pressurized womb of the deep ocean. Their creepiness is the price of that survival. The slow, soft, alien bodies are the shape of endurance. The blind, parasitic eyes are the shape of adaptation in the absolute dark. The centuries-long lifespan is the shape of the deep's slow, steady pulse. They are not monsters. They are the quiet, ancient, enduring lords of the planet's largest, most hidden kingdom. And so, as you drift closer to the edge of sleep, picture the deep ocean not as a place of fear, but as a place of profound, peaceful, ancient quiet. Picture the slow, gentle, luminous shark, its body a soft, glowing ember in the infinite dark, drifting effortlessly through the cold, still water. It is not coming for you. It is not even aware of you. It is simply being in its slow, perfect, ancient way. Its heart beats once, a long, slow, quiet pause. Its body adjusts its buoyancy with a minute internal shift of oil. Its lateral line feels the distant, deep hum of the planet. It is a silent, self-contained universe, a quiet, moving meditation on the nature of deep time and deep peace. Let the image of this slow, glowing, ancient fish be a guide. Its pace is the pace of the abyss. Its silence is the silence of the deep. Its patience is the patience of 400 million years. Let your breathing slow to match the rhythm of its slow, steady tail. Let your thoughts dissolve into the dark, cold, still water of the midnight zone. The deep ocean is a place of rest. The sharks that live there are the masters of that rest. They have found a way to live in perfect, quiet harmony with the immense pressure and the total darkness. They are the quiet, ancient guardians of the planet's deepest, most peaceful sleep. Drift now, with the slow, soft, luminous shark, into the quiet of the deep.